So Houston's had a pretty interesting offseason. They've lost their star receiver in DeAndre Hopkins and their star nose tackle in DJ Reader. But this offseason hasn't been a failure for the Texans, at least not if you're looking objectively. Because yes, the loss of DeAndre Hopkins is a huge loss. Same with DJ Reader. But DeAndre Hopkins was being used as a crutch for Deshaun Watson. Every single time there's a crucial down, everybody knew it was going to go to Hopkins. And at times, you would even see Deshaun Watson just staring down Hopkins the second the ball gets snapped. Like, it's not that Deshaun Watson has to have DeAndre Hopkins. But I truly believe now that DeAndre Hopkins is gone, Deshaun Watson's going to be spreading the ball out, which is honestly where the Texans offense has looked its best. And it's not like they didn't replace DeAndre Hopkins' productions, because let's say we're getting the best out of DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins, 1,500 yards and double-digit touchdowns. Hopkins is not going to get 2,000 yards like you're going to get out of Brandon Cooks, Randall Cobb, just by themselves. And then that's not even taking into account the fact that they have Will Fuller, who, yes, does have injury concerns, but he's going to have a lot less pressure on him to make those plays because they're a lot deeper now. And then they also have Kenny Stills returning. Kenny Stills was their number 3 receiver. He's going to get a lot more targets now that they're not force-feeding DeAndre Hopkins. Now, some other key additions they added David Johnson as a part of that DeAndre Hopkins trade. David Johnson's a good running back. And you're going to hear a lot of people say, oh, David Johnson only had one good season in the NFL. That's not true. If you think David Johnson's only had one good season, that's just wrong. You're not paying attention. And you got to think, with multiple good seasons in Arizona, he had a much worse situation at the time. Their offensive line regressed significantly. They didn't have a quarterback for a few of those years. Their defense was about the only good thing they had, and he was struggling to keep up. Not to mention, they had coaching changes. David Johnson's a good player too. And then if we're going down the list, they also just had a really good draft. They added Ross Blacklock, Jonathan Grenard, John Reed, Charlie Heck, and Isaiah Coulter. And out of those guys, the only one I don't think has the potential to be a starter is Charlie Heck. That's it. And even he has a solid floor considering his frame. Now, if you compare that to the people they lost, the Texans lost Hopkins and Reader, which I've mentioned, and they did lose Carlos Hyde and Tashawn Gibson as well. But that's about it. I mean, the only other significant person I can think of is Jonathan Joseph. But Jonathan Joseph was somebody Texans fans were begging to get replaced. The additions significantly outweigh the losses, and that's why I got the Houston Texans winning 12 games this year. That's my prediction for them, 12 wins. Now, I think it's very possible because I don't think they face a lot of great competition. Because this is in order the quarterbacks they're going to face: Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Ben Roethlisberger, Kirk Cousins, Gardner Minshew, Tannehill, Rodgers, Minshew, Mayfield, Jarrett Stidham, Matt Stafford, Phillip Rivers, Mitch Trubisky, Phillip Rivers again, Joe Burrow, and Ryan Tannehill. The only quarterbacks on this list that I'm really worried about is Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Aaron Rodgers. Outside of that, I don't think there's another quarterback on this list that's going to be able to compete with the Texans, even with questionable play on defense. Now, there is a chance the season does end poorly, but poorly in my eyes is anything less than a championship appearance. If they don't make a championship, season's a waste. No point in the season. But I do think they make it. Thank you guys for watching the video. Now, if you enjoyed this content, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and follow my Twitter @ViewsOfPhoenix.